Hey everybody, I'm Emily, one of the designers with the Quilted Cow, and today I'm here to show you the That project, which is the mini charming notebook cover from our subscription box. So first though, I want to thank our sponsors. We have Husqvarna Viking Machines and Creative Grids, Rulers, Cutters, and Mats. Okay, so let's get started. This mini charming notebook cover is the perfect way to hold your 7.5 by 10-inch notebooks, or you can fit a tablet in here, which is super awesome. That comes with a little optional string bookmark. There's also a little tab that you can hang a charm from if you wanted to. So you're going to find this kit in your subscription box. Go to our website and order your subscription box. It'll have this kit in it. It also is going to come with the patterns that you need to make this project. Actually, this is the That project. So each subscription box comes with a kit, and it's going to have a this or a that, and this is the That project for this kit. It is called the Mini Charming Notebook Cover. There's also enough fabric left over and items to be able to make the book pencil pouch, one of the book pencil pouches that will match, and it will just kind of tie around here so that you can keep your pencils and pens in here and perfectly coordinating. So I want to show you real quick how to cut your fabric in order to be able to get those book pencil pouches out of it and to be able to get all of the fabric that you need out of it. You're going to get a fat quarter inside of your kit, and from that fat quarter you're going to cut your lining fabric. Now this is directional fabric. If you have non-directional fabric, it's not as big of a deal, but even though this is directional fabric, this is on the inside and it's getting covered up by the notebook. So you're not going to see this big piece in here. So it's not a big deal if it's a little bit, if it's sideways instead of up and down. It's important though to make sure that our sleeves here are getting the directions that it needs to go. So make sure that whenever we're cutting, we're going to cut 10 3/4 by 18, and then you're going to trim it down to 16.5. And then we're going to cut our strip for the optional string bookmarks if you wanted that. And then you're going to cut 10 3/4 this way and then cut it down to the size that you need for your sleeves this way. So that way your sleeves are going to be in the right position and they're going to be the right direction whenever they go in. Out of this remainder of the fabric, you're going to be able to get the outsides for your book pencil pouch. So keep that and don't get rid of that right away if you want to make the book pencil pouch. All right, so I've got all these extra pieces. The next thing I did was I cut my lightweight fusible that's in your kit, and I fused that to the back side of the lining piece. So, and then we can set that to the side. I also cut the sleeve lining out of the white fabric. There's some white fabric in this kit that you'll see. You're going to get the linings for your sleeves out of that. So you cut that and then fuse your lightweight fusible to the insides of the sleeves. Sew those together using a 1/4 inch. You will want to make sure that you sew down the opposite side of each one so that whenever they stand up, the insides are going to, your good side, your pretty side of this seam is going to be on the opposite side of the other. You don't want both of them on one side, and that's going to flip everything around. So keep that in mind whenever you're sewing that. So with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, press the wrong sides together, and then you're going to just top stitch 1/8 of an inch down each side of these sleeves. So there's that. Now, the next thing I did was I picked out 40 of my mini charms, and that's how many you're going to need for the outside of this notebook cover. So pick out 40 of the mini charms, put them in the order that you want. There is directionalities to some of these prints, so keep that in mind. One of the things that I like to do is once I lay that out, I'll take my cell phone and take a picture of it, so then whenever I'm sewing it all together, I get to make sure that I have it all in the right order. So whenever you're doing that, whatever makes the most sense for you, that works. So keep that in mind as you're sewing these together, but go ahead and sew them all together. It's 5 rows of 8 mini charms total. The great thing is that whenever you look at this, if you're like, man, I really wish I hadn't put those two fabrics together, when you fold it in half, those two fabrics may not be together anymore. So it's a backside, it's a front side and a backside to this. So relax about it, have some fun with it, but go ahead and sew all these together. So each of the rows, or I'm sorry, press each of the seam allowances for each row in opposite directions so that whenever you sew the rows together, those seams are going to nest and they're going to stay together. You're going to get nice crisp corners there. So once we've got that done, we're going to set that to the side and we're going to work on the tab and the optional string bookmarks. So what we have here, and I've got the tab, and you can use your last two mini charms, and sew them together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, press it open, and then trim that down to 2 inches by 4 inches. Or in this kit, you have a couple of other fabrics here in the kit that you can just cut your 2 inch by 4 inch piece out of. Go ahead and take advantage of that. It's a little bit less sewing. Once you get that done, if you use the mini charms or if you use just the piece of fabric, it's the same process at this point. You're going to take your fabric, you're going to press it in half, wrong sides together. You're going to open that up. You're going to press your raw edges to the inside and then press that back in half so you have nice finished edges on both sides. And then you're going to top stitch all the way down both sides 1/8 of an inch from that edge. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this real quick. All right, trim off those threads. Okay, and then in your kit, you're also going to get your D-ring. And like I said before, there's a zipper and elastic for the book pencil pouch. But you're going to take this D-ring out of the kit and you're going to thread that tab in there. And then we're just going to base stitch this. You're going to stitch along here, just baste it closed. We just need to keep it so that the D-ring stays on there. Okay, so there's that. And then for the string bookmark, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to press it in, you press it in half, and then fold it in. So you press it in half, wrong sides together, and then you fold this in and both sides in, press that, and then fold it back in half again. Same thing that we did for the tab, we do for this. Only this side, we're only going to stitch down that open side so that it just closes that edge because we don't have a whole lot of room to stitch down both sides. So just go ahead and top stitch that edge closed. And once you've got that, then we can set this to the side. And now we get to put it all together. So putting it all together is really pretty simple. I'm going to take my lining fabric here. I'm going to grab my sleeves. And once again, you want your sleeves to be facing the correct way. So your stitch line, your seam is going to be on the inside here. And this seam on the inside here. Just like that, we line those up. We're going to measure in, let me see here. You're going to measure in 6 inches from the outside edge along the top. And that's where we're going to put our tab and D-ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to put our tab and D-ring right there. And then we're going to take the pieced outside and the piece panel, and we're going to lay it down, making sure that if we've got directional fabric in here, once again, that it's facing the correct way. So we want that directional fabric to go up, and the D-ring and tab are going to be on the top of this notebook cover. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clip this together all the way around so that we can sew it together. And I'm going to make sure that I clip where that D-ring is. So I get that in the right spot. I'm sorry, where the tab is, not the D-ring. The D-ring is down here. We want that metal to be out of the way. And then also clip where the sleeves are in there. And then at the bottom, we're going to leave about a 4-inch opening here. So I'm going to start sewing about here, and then I'm going to leave 4 inches open so that I can turn this right side out whenever it's time. So I'm going to take this over to the machine, 1/4 inch all the way around, leaving that 4-inch opening. Okay, so while I was sewing that together, I realized that I forgot to mention to you one quick thing about that outside panel. One of the things that I designed into the pattern was that you sew a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance whenever you're sewing these squares together. One of the reasons for that is because that'll make sure that you get your 10 3/4 out of it. If you have a fat 1/4 inch seam allowance, then you're gonna lose some size and you're not gonna be able to fit this notebook in whenever it's all sewn together. So make sure you're doing a scant 1/4 inch. And by a scant 1/4 inch, I don't mean 1/8 of an inch. I mean 1 or 2 threads from a true 1/4 inch seam allowance. So keep that in mind whenever you're sewing this together. That's what the scant means in the pattern, is just 1 or 2 threads shy of a full 1/4 inch. So, and don't forget that the thread in your 1/4 inch or in your seam allowance, that takes up room. So that's counted in that 1/4 inch. So keep that in mind too. All right, so now I've got this put together. Now I'm going to turn this right side out after I clip the corners. All right, so I've got those poked out pretty well. And I'm just going to kind of roll my seams to get them as flat as possible. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes if you grab your turning tool or whatever you're using and run that down through the seam, that'll help to get it nice and straight and pushed out. Sometimes it takes just a moment of manipulation just to get it to flatten out. All right, so this bottom part, you're just going to fold in that opening 1/4 of an inch. I always like to kind of press on both sides to see exactly where that 1/4 inch should be. And it helps that opening kind of fold in sometimes too. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around the outside of this. But we're going to make sure that this tab is pointing up so that we're not going to top stitch it down. Now, if on yours you want to go ahead and top stitch this down, that is up to you. You can do that. I didn't do it on mine. The weight of the charm kind of holds it down, and that's fine with me. But if you want to go ahead and top stitch that down, or you can do it without it down and then come back later and top stitch it if you feel like you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and start top stitching where that opening is, and that way I make sure everything is nice and lined up. 1/8 of an inch all the way around. Okay, so now we have our notebook cover that's finished. And let's add our optional string bookmark. So we've got that bookmark piece that we made earlier. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to thread it down through the D-ring from the front, and then take the ends and just pull them through. And there you have it. There's the string bookmark. Now trim them to the length that you want. Just do a little 45-degree angle on the trim. And then also in the subscription pouch, or I'm sorry, in the subscription box, there is this little keychain charm that you could, if you wanted to, instead of the string bookmark, you could always add that instead or with it. So if you wanted to do it with it, then you just hook that onto the D-ring. So then you've got that keychain charm, or you can not have the string bookmarks, and then you just have the charm for your mini charming notebook cover. This is the That project that is included in the subscription box. The kit includes everything that you need in order to make one of these notebook covers. Also, you can find that online, get your subscription box online, make sure that you order it up as soon as possible. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos, and thank you so much for watching.
All right, you wicked cool quilters, you made it to the end. Good job. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Also, like and subscribe to our channel. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking and Creative Grids.